Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really intriguing. A flower that's, well, wrapped in mystery, maybe even a bit dark. The black rose.
Right. It sounds almost mythical.
Exactly. But for you, if you're a purchasing manager or developing new products in the flower and gift industry, it's actually a serious commercial opportunity. We're talking high emotional value, big visual impact.
It definitely catches the eye.
So for this deep dive, we've got some fantastic insights. We're drawing heavily from Annie Zhang. She's the CEO of Sweetie Gifts.
Oh, yes. She's got, what, 20 years in the industry?
20 years, yeah. Really knows her stuff about market trends, especially the Chinese flower supply chain. And she deals with clients all over US, Europe, Australia, Japan, South Korea.
So global perspective. That's
Yeah,
useful.
definitely. And we're pairing that with a detailed article called The Black Rose: History, Symbolism, and Commercial Appeal.
Okay. Good combo. Practical experience and the background story.
Our mission today, for you listening, it's to really unpack the black rose, cut through the myths, understand what it actually is, where it came from historically, how they're made.
Which is key for product, folks.
Absolutely. And explore all those different meanings it carries and why it's such a solid, high-margin product for things like seasonal launches or, luxury branding.
Get you up to speed quickly, basically. See it from all angles.
Exactly. Those aha moments. That's what we're after.
And there are definitely a few aha moments with the black rose. Lots of misconceptions to clear up right from the start. We'll look at its real nature from way back when to how they're produced now.
Okay, let's dive right in then. What is a black rose, really? Because, well, here's the first big reveal.
Go on.
A truly, naturally black rose, it doesn't exist. Botanically impossible, apparently. No natural black pigment in roses.
Right. That's the fundamental thing to grasp. What you're seeing isn't naturally black.
So it just looks black. How does that work?
Well, a few ways. It could be a rose with incredibly deep pigmentation, the super dark crimson, deep burgundy, maybe a really intense purple.
Uh-huh.
In certain light, especially low light, they can definitely appear black. There are specific cultivars famous for this, like Black Baccara or Midnight Blue.
Black Baccara, I've heard of that one. Velvety.
Exactly. Velvety maroon, almost black to the eye.
Huh.
Or the blackness can come from dyeing, artificially coloring them.
Okay.
Or, and this is really interesting for commercial products, through special preservation techniques.
So basically, every black rose you see is either a trick of breeding, a dye job, or some kind of preservation magic.
You got it. It's an illusion created by breeders, or the result of dyeing, or the artistry of preservation.
Wow. Okay.
And what's fascinating there, I think, is how something so iconic, so sought after.
Yeah.
It's really a testament to human ingenuity, isn't it? Not just something found in nature.
Yeah, that flips the script a bit. I was imagining some dark gothic garden somewhere.
Huh. Nope. More likely a clever grower or a lab.
Which actually is a great transition. If they're not naturally occurring like this, how did they get such a powerful story, such deep symbolism?
Now that is where it gets really interesting. The history is rich. It's woven into mythology, politics, art, literature.
Okay, give us some examples. Mythology.
Well, in Greek myths, there's a connection to Persephone's abduction by Hades. The story goes that roses darkened when she was taken to the underworld.
So symbolizing transformation, loss, that kind of thing.
Exactly, that line between life and death. And then you have Norse legends. Black flowers supposedly bloomed where Valkyries walked after battles.
Fate in the afterlife. Wow. Heavy stuff.
Definitely. And it's not just ancient myths. Think about Irish nationalism.
Okay.
Roisin Dub, Little Black Rose. It became this poetic symbol for Ireland under British rule, used in folk songs.
Mm-hmm.
It stood for resistance, love, sacrifice.
So it took on political meaning too.
Deep political and emotional meaning, yeah.
What about religious symbolism? Anything there?
Well, not explicitly in the Bible, no black rose is mentioned, but dark or, withered flowers often symbolize things like fallen grace or mourning.
Makes sense.
And in some Christian mysticism, black petals could represent the soul's trials, before redemption. Since roses often stand for divine love, a black one might suggest spiritual struggle.
Yeah.
Penance, even.
Okay, so a complex spiritual layer too. And
Yeah.
then the Victorians, they had a meaning for everything, right? The language of flowers.
Oh, absolutely. Florography was huge in 19th century England. A whole coded language.
And a black rose in that language meant...
Several things, actually, all quite intense. Tragic love or mourning was one. Revenge or hatred was another.
Ooh, dramatic.
Very. But also, interestingly, new beginnings. though often in a kind of rebellious breaking free sense.
So not always negative then.
Not always, but definitely intense. People might even send one when ending a relationship. A sort of final, poetic, maybe slightly passive-aggressive message.
Imagine getting that delivery.
Right, so you see this pattern: mourning, love, rebellion, mystery. It's carried all these heavy, complex meanings through time.
Which connects back to what you said earlier. This rich symbolism gives it deep emotional value.
Exactly, and that's commercially powerful. It
Yeah.
appeals to different people for different reasons, different occasions. It's not just one thing.
Okay, so that's the why behind the fascination. Now, let's get practical for the folks listening who might want to source or sell these. How are they actually made? What are the options?
Good question, because the method really impacts cost, the final look, and crucially, how long they last. There are basically three main ways.
3 ways. Okay, number 1.
First is breeding and cultivation, trying to get those naturally super dark tones we talked about.
Like the Black Macara?
Precisely. Or black magic, which is deep red with blackish edges, or black velvet, another very dark one. Growers use selective breeding controlled environments.
But what are the downsides there?
Well, they're expensive to grow. Availability can be seasonal. And here's the big one for preserved products. They don't really stay black looking once they're dried or preserved using simpler methods.
Ah, okay. So mostly for fresh flowers then, high-end florists.
Yeah, mainly fresh arrangements where you want that immediate dramatic look, but longevity isn't the main goal.
Got it. Method number 2.
Dyeing fresh roses. This is common in event floristry.
So literally painting them.
Sort of. Florists might dip white or red roses in black floral dye or sometimes airbrush them. You see this for funerals, themed parties, photo shoots, places needing a temporary effect.
Temporary being the key word.
Absolutely. The lifespan is short, just like any fresh dyed flower. The color might fade, it could even rub off. So not great if you want something for long-term display or to sell as a lasting gift item. Bad for inventory.
Right, doesn't sound ideal for retail products. Which brings us to method 3.
Method 3 is making preserved black roses. And this is where it gets really sophisticated, especially for companies focused on long-lasting products, like sweetie gifts.
Okay, this sounds like the main event for commercial use. How does that work? Is it just drying them differently?
Oh, it's much more than just drying. It's a whole multi-step chemical process, almost like pharmaceutical-grade preservation.
Wow. Okay, walk us through it.
It starts right at the source. They select top-quality A-grade roses, often from Yunnan in China. That's a huge flower base in Asia.
Right, quality in, quality out.
Exactly. Then the first big step is dehydration. They place the fresh roses into medical-grade alcohol, 75% concentration usually to pull out the moisture in natural oils.
Medical grade, okay.
Then, believe it or not, a second dehydration step, this time an even purer ethanol, like 99.99% for really deep cleansing.
2 dehydration steps.
Okay.
That's next.
Shaping. They call it fixation. They use another medical-grade setting solution to help the rose keep its natural shape, its bloom structure.
So it doesn't collapse or look weird later.
Precisely. And then comes the color. This is the transformation. They use an edible-grade black dye, mix it with ethanol, and the rose absorbs it evenly through the petals.
Edible grade dye. Interesting. Why edible?
It speaks to safety standards, especially for products that might be handled or near other items. It's about ensuring a non-toxic process.
Makes sense. Okay, so it's soaked up the black dye. Now what?
The final stage is drying, but again, carefully controlled. The dyed roses are air-dried in a sterile environment where humidity is tightly managed. This can take quite a while, 1 to 2 months, sometimes, depending on the climate.
1 to 2 months just drying.
Yep, it's a slow, meticulous process. But the result, you get a rose that still feels soft, almost velvety, holds its shape perfectly, and keeps that deep black color for 1 to 3 years.
1 to 3 years. Okay, that's the game changer for retail.
Exactly. That's the key difference. It's this sophisticated artistry, the scientific precision, from choosing the bloom to that final drawing stage. It creates a long-lasting, high-value product.
That whole process sounds incredibly detailed. It explains why preserved roses command a higher price point.
Absolutely. It's labor-intensive, requires specific expertise and controlled conditions. It's not just dunking a flower in dye.
Right. So we know they look stunning. We know how they're made, especially these long-lasting preserved ones. How does all that history and symbolism we talked about actually play out in the market? How do you sell something with so many, sometimes contradictory meanings?
Well, like you touched on before, that variety is actually a huge plus. It lets you target different niches, different customer needs.
Okay, break that down. Like, who's buying black roses and why?
Well, there's the farewell and mourning angle that's popular in Gothic subcultures, obviously for funerals, or to represent tragic love stories. That's one distinct market.
Okay, the traditional association.
And then you have the complete opposite, almost. Rebirth and transformation. People buy them to symbolize personal growth, maybe overcoming something difficult, letting go of the past, starting fresh.
So moving on, empowerment.
Exactly. Then there's the power and sophistication angle. Think high fashion, luxury branding, corporate gifts. A black rose just screams chic and exclusive. You see it in packaging, put a black rose box next to perfume, it instantly elevates it.
Right, that visual shorthand for luxury.
And don't forget, romantic rebellion. For people who want to express love but find red roses cliché, it's edgy, different. We're even seeing a niche for Black Valentine's Day products growing.
Black Valentines. Interesting. So as a product manager, you need to know which of these triggers you're aiming for.
Precisely. Your messaging needs to align with the occasion. Is it for Halloween? A breakup gift box. An edgy anniversary collection. Knowing the symbolism helps you tailor the story.
And beyond the symbolism, what are the practical advantages of selling the preserved kind?
Oh, they're huge for business. We mentioned the shelf life, 1 to 3 years. That is massive for reducing waste and managing inventory.
Yeah, huge.
They're super easy to ship, no water, no soil, no need for refrigeration. That cuts down logistics costs and complexity significantly.
Big savings there.
They inherently have a high perceived value, especially when you package them. Well, black boxes, gold accents, they just look expensive.
Presentation is key.
And they are incredibly customizable. You can add logos, choose different box styles, colors, add scents, LED lights inside the dome, pretty much anything.
Okay, so that leads naturally to product ideas. What kind of things work best?
Well, those preserved black rose domes are very popular, sometimes with little LED lights inside, often under a glass cloche. Very high-end retail appeal.
Like a Beauty and the Beast vibe, but darker.
Kinda, yeah. Then you've got black rose jewelry boxes.
Yeah.
Great for cross promotions with cosmetics or accessories. Armani even did an internal love box like that.
Smart. What else?
Mini heart boxes with a single black rose. Good for impulse buys, maybe near checkouts in supermarkets or gift shops.
Lower price point, wider reach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the funeral and remembrance market. Elegant, respectful tributes. Perfect for businesses specializing in memorial gifts.
A sensitive but important niche.
And finally, leveraging seasonal launches. Gothic themes for fall, definitely Halloween bundles, and like we said, maybe a Black Valentine campaign to capture that alternative romance market.
Lots of possibilities there. It really feels like a versatile product if you understand the angles.
It really is. Which I suppose raises the question, given all this potential, how well are businesses actually using these different meanings and the advantages of preserved roses to create stuff that sells well and makes good margins?
Yeah, are they really telling the right story?
It's about connecting the product's unique features, the longevity, the look, the symbolism to a specific customer need or desire. That's where the high margin potential lies.
And speaking of businesses doing this well, our source, Annie Zhang's company, Sweetie Gifts, seems like a prime example. They're clearly a major player in this space.
Yeah, their capabilities sound pretty impressive based on the info we have.
Definitely. They've got a decent-sized factory in Yunnan, over 60 workers, apparently putting out around 3,000 pieces a day. That's significant scale.
Wow, 3,000 a day is serious production.
And the customization options are extensive. You mentioned boxes, heart, round, dome, drawer boxes, jewelry boxes, ones with LEDs. They really seem to live by that your packaging, your rules idea.
That flexibility is crucial for brands wanting unique products.
Plus, they have the certifications you need for international markets. REACH and CE for Europe, those cover environmental and safety standards, and phytosanitary certificates.
Vital for getting plant-based products through customs smoothly. Avoids major headaches.
Totally. And it seems they've got the trust of some big names, too, working with brands like Dior, Lancôme, even the British Museum, Walgreens, Aeon, Giphy.
That's quite a client list.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes about reliability and quality.
It does. They also mention a focus on eco-packaging, which is increasingly important, and they control the whole process, from sourcing the flower to the final shelf-ready product.
That end-to-end control means consistency, which is exactly what purchasing managers need: reliability in the supply chain.
So, quite a journey we've taken with the black rose today, from this mysterious, almost mythical
So
flower.
it's something engineered with surprising precision.
Right, uncovering its real nature, that fascinating history packed with symbolism, the detailed science behind preserving them.
And then seeing how all that translates into real market versatility and commercial potential.
It really is more than just a pretty flower. It's got drama, beauty, history, and solid business sense behind it. Hopefully, we've had some of those aha moments.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Kind of sparks a final thought to chew on.
Oh, what's that?
Well, how many other things that we think of as natural or just everyday items, maybe even products you're working with right now,
Hmm.
might have similar hidden stories?
Stories of human ingenuity hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. Ingenuity, deep cultural meanings, complex manufacturing, all behind something that looks simple on the surface. What other ordinary things hold these rich secrets just waiting to be uncovered?
That is a fantastic question, something definitely worth mulling over.
Always pays to look beneath the surface.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the enigmatic black rose. Keep exploring, keep asking questions.